Joining me now from Salt Lake City, Utah, former U.S. Attorney for the District of Utah, Brett Tolman. Brett, I smell a rat here. I smell a sewer rat coming up from the bowels of San Francisco, running through the feces and the needles of San Francisco. All this proves to me the fact that Nancy Pelosi is now sitting on, like she did with the USMCA, by the way, for a year, is now sitting on the articles of impeachment. We should note that in 1998, the articles of impeachment were immediately sent over to the United States Senate, okay? So we have this as a precedent. So now she's sitting on it. Tells me one thing, Brett. This has always been all about politics and not about the United States Constitution.
Well, I think you're right. I rarely am surprised by Congress, but Graham, I was very surprised by this. And this move by Nancy Pelosi does suggest that it's always been what we believed, which was theater. But think about the fact that she says you have a rogue president and now a rogue Senate. If you're concluding that, you may want to look at yourself and look at your house and what you've been up to, because Clinton investigation took 1,490 days to complete. The articles were sent over immediately. They included a criminal allegation. Here it took 75 days, no criminal allegation. I'd be embarrassed to send these over, and apparently she is.
Now, we've said ad nauseum, and we know our Constitution, and that is it's bribery, treason, high crimes, and misdemeanors. The framers of the Constitution, James Madison, George Mason in particular, they wanted to make sure there were high crimes and misdemeanors in there as another means to hold a president accountable. But you and I both know, and we all know our Constitution, that it's rather vague, right? It doesn't have to be a crime to impeach the President of the United States. However, in this case, there's nothing even close to a crime committed by the 45th President of the United States. There's nothing even close to criminal here, as there was in 1998.
That's right. I mean, in 98, you had obstruction. It was a crime. Here, they tried to have, their cake and eat it too, so to speak. They were putting together allegations without sufficient evidence to pin it on the sitting president, and they rushed it into votes and out of committee and onto the House floor in an effort to push this agenda that they have. And I'm sorry, if you were calling for impeachment the day he took office, and then you eventually push it to impeachment, you've lost the credibility if, in fact, your articles don't contain some allegation of a crime.
Right. And remember, Bill Clinton, as part of the criminal package that was sent over to the United States Senate, was perjury. He perjured himself. This was not about Monica Lewinsky's blue dress and a so-called family matter. This was about perjury and holding the president then, Bill Clinton, accountable. Now, but let's back up and let's look at this from maybe a political perspective, a strategic perspective. The Democrats' damage is done, right? So if you're looking at this through the Nancy Pelosi lens, the damage is done in the United States House of Representatives already. They've already pinned a constitutional scarlet letter on the 45th President of the United States. So what can she do, Brett, if she delays? Well, she can take pot shots and put pressure on Mitch McConnell. And let's face it, I don't think that Mitch McConnell is the greatest strategic mind ever to visit the United States Congress. She can also protect this unsubstantiated case, right? Because we know that there is nothing there, and if the United States Senate starts turning over rocks and calling witnesses, they may expose it for what it is even further, and that's a farce. And finally, she can protect witnesses, right? Brett, think about this, right? If the articles of impeachment are not sent over to the Senate, and Mitch McConnell capitulates to this and says, well, we'll just wait. In fact, maybe they're never sent over to the United States Senate. Then we'll maybe never hear from the whistleblower. We'll possibly never hear on the witness stand from Adam Schiff. We'll potentially never hear from Hunter Biden and Joe Biden on this matter, and we deserve to hear from these people.
Well, I agree with you that this right now is a pivotal moment for Mitch McConnell. And the right strategy, I think there are some that suggest, look, this shows that they never really intended to push this. They don't have allegations that are serious enough to raise it. I've indicated, in perhaps a hybrid from what you've suggested, Mitch McConnell ought to be taking a close look at this and almost like you're dismissing the impeachment because of the fact that it doesn't contain sufficient allegations to try him. What are you trying the president on that's being sent over that are in those allegations? I don't see what the trial will be about without something more sufficient. And you're right. We want to hear from those witnesses.
I agree with you. And I've been making that argument now for a couple of weeks that there's been no case here. And Mitch McConnell could have been preemptive in this, right? He could have said, hey, listen, this is all they put out. Once it went to the Judiciary Committee and there was no new evidence, no new witnesses, just a bunch of so-called experts, McConnell could have then and there said, hey, I'm going to put an end to this thing, Nancy Pelosi. Don't bother sending it over. We're going to draw up a resolution right now. But he didn't. Okay, so we're in this situation now. What about this, Brett? This is my idea, that Mitch McConnell ought to proceed. We know what the articles of impeachment are. We know what the evidence is. The fact that Nancy Pelosi has not sent it over to the Senate really is a congressional footnote. Go ahead and proceed, Mitch McConnell. Proceed with whatever trial you want to proceed with. Call Eric Ciaramella, the whistleblower. Call Hunter Biden. Proceed. There's nothing in the Constitution that prevents Mitch McConnell from proceeding on this matter. It's very similar, Brett, to the Iran nuke deal. When Barack Obama did not proffer it to the United States Senate for confirmation and affirmation per the United States Constitution, McConnell in that case could have just taken it up and had an up or down vote. I believe he needs to do that here. This is strategic thinking that I think Mitch McConnell does not want to execute.
Well, I do like the fact that you put them on their heels by requesting the witnesses to come. You and I both know if they, for example, asked for Hunter Biden to be a witness or called a whistleblower in this case, they're not going to appear. That will create, I think, quite a statement and a reflection on what the impeachment is all about. I'd also ask that the prosecutor from the Ukraine investigation be called. There's several individuals in the Ukraine that now have a voice, and we do know that can confirm what the president said, that he did not feel pressure from President Trump. So I think there are a lot of witnesses that should be called if it's going to go forward in a trial, and Mitch McConnell could certainly tee that up, although you and I probably know that he's not going to get cooperation from many of those witnesses they want to call.
And a final note, as a prosecutor, I think you would agree that this notion that we're being bandied about a quick trial or not quick trial, how about just a robust defense, right? I mean, if you're charged with something, you know, whatever length of time it takes to make your case, there should be nothing about quick or long. It should be about exonerating your client. That's what this should be all about. Brett, thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.